Hi, this is Josh with Resort TV 1, and today we're taking you on a tour through Liberty Square and showing you all of the details that you may have missed when you're walking through Liberty Square when you're on vacation. So this is our second episode of the Disney World in Details series of videos. And by the way, a shout out to Victoria from Disney in Detail. I called the first video Disney in Detail and didn't realize there was a YouTube channel by the same name, so we're going to call ours Disney World in Detail, but be sure you go check out Disney. We're going to call ours Disney World in Detail. Be sure you go check out Disney in Detail. And speaking of which, one of the first details that you may have missed, and I love this, is when you come into Liberty Square, there's this guardhouse. And so right next to the guardhouse is a hitching post for horses. And that would have been very common in colonial America. A guardhouse, and then you've got the city gate here, of course. So the guardhouse would have been obviously outside the city gate. And if you needed to hitch up your horse or whatever, they had a little desk here for the guard, as well as harnesses and all kinds of things here, and even a logbook, I guess, for visitors, a quill. So a lot of really cool details there. There's even a musket there, just in case there's any issues, I guess. Boy, it's a really long one. I don't know too much about muskets, but if anybody does, fill me in if that is authentic to the colonial period. And by the way, be sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time we go live or have a new video. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. We're Resort TV 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. By the way, another detail here is kind of got ramparts here where you could actually put a gun over the top of these particular brick walls to defend the gate if you needed to. So it's another little detail. And here we have, past this gateway stirs a new nation waiting to be born. It's so cool. And of course, Walt was a big fan of American history, so it's always cool to see some of the historical details that are here. And over here we have barrels and tea and all kinds of stuff here that you might find outside of a colonial town. Maybe they were dropped off there and they need to be unloaded somewhere. So anyway, let's go inside. Pretty busy today, day before Thanksgiving, but we'll make our way through here and check out some details. So this is not a Liberty Square specific detail, but this is one of my favorite views of the castle, especially in the early evening hours or the late afternoon hours, because you got the sun right on it, so it makes a great picture. So if you want to get a picture of the side of the castle, this is probably the best place to do it, especially when the water is calm and the reflection is just about perfect. Of course, all these buildings are typical colonial architecture from different parts of the country and from different eras of the colonial period. Let me see if I can find a number on one of the doors over here. Oh, here's one over here. Okay, so what I was told is that if you put an 18 in front of the number on the door, so this door has a 10 on it, then that's about the time period that this particular building would come from. So if there's a 10 there, that means that building would date from 1810. That's kind of a cool little Disney detail there, is that that particular building, because of the 10, would date from around 1810. And of course, this is kind of a replica of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, I believe, and it says 1787, the year the Constitution was approved and was signed. And if I say anything wrong, I've tried to research this, but I do make mistakes, so correct me if I'm wrong on something. Here is a 14 on this building, so this particular architecture would date from around 1814. And here is a Liberty tree, and from the old Disney movie, The Sons of Liberty, they had a Liberty tree there in town, and we'll go look at this particular sign over here to let you know a little more about it, but especially because of the history behind lanterns used in the Revolutionary War with the 1 if by land and 2 if by sea and all those things. Lanterns were commonly hung in Liberty trees in different towns. So let's read about it a little more. Here's a little bit about that. It says it was a stately elm was a rallying point for pre-revolutionary activities, almost like everybody gathered by the tree to talk about what they needed to do before the revolution. No, countless inflammatory cartoons and verses were nailed, so like how they weren't happy with the British, I guess. That's kind of cool. And another fun fact about this tree is that it was found actually elsewhere in Walt Disney World. It wasn't here in the Magic Kingdom. It was found elsewhere in Walt Disney World and was moved here. And it was one of the largest trees that had ever been successfully moved to date. So here's a little more information about that. I don't know if you can read that or not, but here's the Liberty Bell here, and this is an exact replica of the real Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. This is actually made with the same mold as the original Liberty Bell that hangs in, or actually is displayed in Philadelphia. So here's a little information about it. So there you go. This replication was truly cast for Liberty Square using the same mold from whence the original bell was sprung. And I believe there may be only one other replica besides this one, and then the mold was considered no longer useful. So I think there's the original, there's this one, there might be one more. That's pretty amazing. And again, we're continuing down the architectural tour here. That building has a 17 on it, so it's 1817. Here's 1819. From what I've read also, the architecture, when we go down towards Frontierland, also travels across the country. So we started over, I believe, in the east, and it travels west. So the architecture, as we go further west, would have been further west in the country as well, to kind of get a little bit more smooth segue over into Frontierland, just beyond those trees there. And one other fun fact, and this is actually kind of a gross fact, a lot of people know this. The reason the pavement is brown in the middle of the street, there actually are no regular restrooms in Liberty Square. You have to go outside the land to get there. Even in Columbia Harbor House, there actually are no regular restrooms inside Liberty Square. That part of the building is in Fantasyland, actually. But this brown pavement is actually representative of how people would throw their waste out in the streets in the colonial period. So this is basically what you're walking on, is a river of sewage there. So that's the idea. It's not actually that, of course, for sanitary reasons, but back in the colonial period, that is how it worked. And so this is just kind of a extra detail that Disney added. So let's go inside the Hall of Presidents here and look around just a little bit. So here we are in the Hall of Presidents, and there is the Great Seal of the United States. There you go, in carpet there. It's beautiful. And in this kind of museum area, there are authentic artifacts from different presidential collections. In fact, the Hall of Presidents is a federally recognized historical presidential museum. For example, we have Gerald Ford, his boots and snow outfit here. Have some stuff from Bill Clinton here. All kinds of great stuff. So these are real presidential artifacts. And by the way, speaking of the presidential seal that we just saw, the Hall of Presidents here at Walt Disney World is the only other place besides the White House where the presidential seal can be used legally. And that actually took an act of Congress. So Disney had to get permission from Congress to use that here, and Congress approved it, so it's officially recognized as a place where the presidential seal can be used due to the historical nature of the place, and Disney really went to great lengths to get that approved through Congress. So this is the only other place outside of Washington, D.C. or outside the White House where that great seal can be used. So that's a pretty cool little detail. And these are great portraits of some of our past presidents. And here we are next to the Hall of Presidents, and all this architecture is so cool here. And again, the numbers on the doors, just put an 18 in front of it, and that is the time period that it comes from. And by the way, there's this gate here, and there was a rumor that this step, marble step, was from Monticello, which is Thomas Jefferson's home, of course. But actually that is not true. But they put this gate here to keep people from messing around with it. So that is just a regular marble step. It is not from Monticello or Monticello. I'm not sure exactly the best way to say that. Italian-wise, it'd be Monticello with the CE. But anyway, that is not from Monticello. That is just a rumor, but that's why Disney put the gate here to keep people from messing with it. And here we have one of the exits to Hall of Presidents. And over here is the Harbor House. And what's interesting, if you look at the Harbor House, here's a detail for you. Over here on this side, it's very colonial in architecture here. I believe that's a Dutch colonial style. But if you go into Fantasyland, it's very different style. That storybook, that storybook design, kind of a German architecture, German Bavarian architecture. So let's go and look at that on the other side. All right, so now we're under the little bridge that goes over into Fantasyland. This is still the Harbor House, and yet the architecture is completely different. It's very Bavarian. And it fits more with Fantasyland, that storybook architecture there. I said it right. And looks like it comes from one of the Bavarian towns we visited. So really cool. It's kind of divided by this particular bridge here. Such a cool detail. And here again on the other side, and just to show you the other side of the bridge, it's Colonial. So I really never noticed that before. I'm going to be honest with you. I looked up some details on a couple different websites, and I had not noticed that. So I'm so glad they pointed that out. And by the way, shout out to that website. I believe it is DisneyFanatic.com. So go check them out, because that was a pretty cool article they had on DisneyFanatic.com. So here we are at the Haunted Mansion. No trip to Liberty Square would be complete without a trip to the Haunted Mansion. And of course, this is, I believe, again, Dutch Colonial Mansion, which really fits, of course, in Liberty Square, because in Disneyland, of course, they're in New Orleans Square, so it's more of a New Orleans style mansion, almost like plantation style. So another detail, though, here that you may not have noticed, and I hope you can see it with the sun, is the stables here. And so this is the stable area actually for the Haunted Mansion. And since the Haunted Mansion, is supposed to be a huge mansion house, you actually, would have a stable just outside. So this is actually the old area where Mike Fink keelboats used to board, but the whole thing is kind of themed like a stable. So another really cool detail there. Well, that's all for now for Disney World in detail from Liberty Square. We hope you enjoyed the video. And again, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Also, remember to leave a like and a comment. That really does help out the video when you do that. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. We're Resort TV1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also, don't forget to check out our sponsors, MickeyBlog.com and MickeyTravels.com, for the best in free Disney vacation planning advice. Go check out MickeyTravels.com to book your next trip to Disney. Also, be sure to check out WindowRepairParts.us and use the coupon code ResortTV1 for 20% off your purchase on WindowRepairParts.us. Also, be sure to check out Main Street DVCResale.com. See how easy it is to sell your DVC commission-free at Main Street DVCResale.com. So for now, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye. Now that you've finished watching this video, be sure that you're subscribed so that you can get all of the latest updates. Also, check out some other great videos on our channel. Have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye.